Hi, I'm Shelley with The Wedding Show. Thank you for joining us. My next guest here is Michael Long. He is a manager with a natural supplement company, and he is here to tell us a little bit about and bring awareness to dementia and Alzheimer's, and explain kind of a little bit about the science behind it and things like that. So this is something that we were just talking about, something I am not very familiar with at all. So I'm glad that you are able to be here and kind of explain this to us kind of as we go along. So I'll let Mike, thank you for, first of all, for being here.
You're welcome.
And you know, it's always interesting to learn new things, especially about things that we're not educated in. So you've taken the time to really look into this, and your story behind why you have taken the time to look into this is interesting. So welcome, first of all.
Thank you.
And so why don't you tell us a little bit about what it is that you've got?
Well, let me just start off by saying my parents were married for 65 years.
That's just absolutely fabulous.
And in the last couple of years, my mom developed Alzheimer's, and then my father did. So last year, I heard a presentation about the aging process and how the word telomeres, I'd never heard of the word telomeres before until last year. And basically what it is we have about 1 billion cells in our body, and within each cell there's 23 pair of chromosomes. And chromosomes is where all the DNA is stored. So the color of your hair, your eyes, your skin, it's basically the software for your body is your chromosomes. And at the very end of the chromosomes, it's called a telomere. Now the telomeres are the end caps of the chromosomes. It's kind of like, if think of it as the waxy end of your shoestring. Mm-hmm. So basically what happens is we are conceived with a base length of 15,000 at the end of our telomeres. Now by the time we're born at 10, and we die at 5. So the process is like this. Those chromosomes, they divide, and those cells divide over and over and over. So you notice that I mentioned we're conceived at 15 and we're already at 10 by the time we're born. So we've already lost 5,000. So what happens is this is basically all about our lifestyle. It's all about nutrition. And this is brand new science. I mean, they studied telomeres. They first found out about them in the 1930s. And then the 1960s, they did some more research, but they didn't really know what was all involved in how it affected the human body and the human mind. Well, around 1985 or so, a lady, a PhD scientist named Blackburn, really developed, and she went on to say that the enzyme, the telomerase, what feeds the telomeres, and that's what keeps the end caps of the telomeres together. Now, I mentioned your DNA. So without those end caps, we lose all of our DNAs. And I mentioned also that it's kind of like a computer losing its software. So we're living in different times now. We have this new science, and we can really go on from there.
Okay, fantastic. So now you represent a natural supplement company. So what are these supplements? What do they do, and how do they benefit you?
Okay, well, basically, Diane Sawyer in about 2009 showed a Harvard study that had to do with mice, and they engineered these mice so that they would have aged. And basically, they fed them a natural supplement. And what they were able to do was bring the mice back to where their telomeres were lengthened again. And their brain size actually increased by 25%. So,
interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting science. So, and the mice were able to go through a maze, find their way back with their new brain, healthy and so forth. Right. But the only problem with that was, it was the supplement that they were feeding the mice were too toxic, and it would be too toxic for humans. So what happened next was these scientists having this issue about toxic issues with the brain. They had to come up with something different, so they came up with a natural supplement that was only made from plant extracts that they're able to, one group of scientists worked with the others until they were able to get what's called hits in vitro, which is in a live cell. They would take these cells and then they would put the natural supplement in there, and either they would get the hit or they wouldn't. The first time they did it, They went over with 300,000 samples that basically failed. So along comes this other gentleman who was in the natural world, and he was able to come up with about 100 different supplements that he would send to scientists in his lab. And before you knew it, they came up with as many natural hits as that they were coming up with in the man-made world. Wow. So now you have something that is not toxic to human beings that works with folks. And it actually, I've heard of studies where people have gone into Alzheimer's facilities in their 80s and being on this natural supplement, left within a year, and this lady got her driver's license back.
That's
This
fantastic.
is very incredible science.
That's
yes.
wonderful. That's wonderful. And it's something that I know personally, I have many people that I know have suffered from Alzheimer's and dementia. And actually, even all of, within our wedding industry, we have an experience with that as well. And it's very sad, and we don't know what to do, you know.
Right.
But hearing that there's something positive being worked on and natural, because I'm a big fan of things all natural. It's encouraging, and it kind of can give people some hope.
It's very encouraging.
That's fantastic. And I had never heard of the telomeres either. So now you said that, now do they rebuild?
Yeah, now that's the interesting part. Is that the telomeres, what they do is with the proper nutrition, there's a telomerase that rebuilds the telomeres. But it's
Okay.
only through proper nutrition. It's not
Right.
just anything. And that's what was the interesting thing about the gentleman who was the formulator, the natural formulator. He has been all over the world. He's talked to cultures from all over the planet on how their older generation are living so long without Alzheimer's and dementia. You know, we live in a society that's so fast-paced. If the stress actually is one of the things that has a negative effect on the telomeres, because if you don't have proper diet and if you're stressed out all the time, your telomeres shrink. So you have to figure out a way that you can have less stress in your life and with proper nutrition. And it's not just any random things. They came up with something that you just can't go to a vitamin store and just buy things off the shelf.
Right. It's got to be the right mix.
It's got to be the right mix, and that's what he did.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, Michael, thank you so much for sharing all of this information. And again, there's information out there. A lot of it is just through that we hear about is not the natural.
Right.
I don't know the exact words, but again, it's you hear about scientists and researchers, but everything is very drug related.
Right, exactly.
and hearing that there's some natural investigation going on.
Well,
I like that.
Not only that, it gives you energy. I've been on it for about a little over a year and a half myself. It gives you energy. It will help you lose weight, and your memory recall is so much sharper that you can have a conversation that you can recall things. See, the problem that people have is short-term memory. I can recall things that I did in the first grade.
Right.
Can't
remember what you had for lunch
But
yesterday.
exactly, and that's what's going on. And
Fine,
that's
yeah.
when we have a problem is with our short-term memory. That's the first thing that goes.
Right.
And I don't know why that is. Well, I can remember things that we did a long time ago, but what we did for breakfast, that's a whole other story.
Yeah, no, it's
So
gone.
yeah,
it's gone. Short-term
yeah,
memory.
It's
out the door.
gone. Exactly. So yeah.
Wonderful. Well, I'd like for let's tell our guests how to get a hold of you and to find out more information about this natural supplement that you have to offer.
Well, basically, what I did is I left my phone number in
Fantastic.
559-917-4472.
Fantastic. So, viewers, you can get a hold of Mike Long. And, a lot of people think, well, maybe we're not going to pay attention to Alzheimer's and its effect or dementia until you're faced with it. But it's something that I think a lot of people should pay attention to well before it hits.
Yeah, because they're being able to detect it 18 years before it becomes diagnosed now. And through brain scans, they can actually show the brain before and after. I just heard this the other day. I listened to the PBS, and there was a Dr. Ames, I believe, on there. He was talking about this, and that was new science to me, and how the brain can actually recover. And it shows a whole different color. A brain is a very beautiful color, and you can tell when an old brain is kind of like all
Maybe a little
dimply.
muted.
Yeah, exactly.
A little muted, not so bright.
So there's actually hope for reversing the whole brain scan to where it's a healthy new brain again. So this is beyond science fiction, and it gives people new hope that it's possible. But you have to start early enough to detect it, because you don't want to wait until you have full-blown Alzheimer's and dementia before this happens. And I have links that I'd be more than happy to share with people. That the Diane Sawyer video is on there with the mice, the Harvard study, and others, and other links that my company has that more than happy to share. It's just that they won't allow me to do that.
Online, absolutely.
Online. Okay, so
Absolutely.
yeah.
All right, fantastic. Well, Mike, thanks again for being here and sharing this great information.
Yes.
Always something for us to learn about, and especially when it comes to our health and our loved ones' health as well.
And I think
For
it gives
sure.
us hope for the future.
Absolutely, and there's nothing better than hope.
That's right.
Absolutely. All right, well, thanks again for being here,
You're welcome.
and thank you for tuning in, and we'll be right back.